That's good. You've said in quite a few of your books, don't believe everything you think.
Yes.
And I have to say, Katie, before I read that, it never occurred to me that I could question my thoughts.
Yes.
I just took for granted that somehow my thoughts equaled reality.
Yes.
And everything had to
Yes.
fit within this.
Isn't that a mind blower?
It is
It's like,
mind-blowing.
what? You mean everything I think isn't true? It's like we know when we're lying and we feel guilty, but then those times when we're saying things and we're so sure, it's like, oh my gosh, once we begin to think, am I sure? And it's like self-awareness, isn't it? No one
It
has to
is.
call on us, and there's no guilt in it. It's just like waking up to reality.
For all the parents that are following us that will be new to the work and all of the beautiful, amazing work that you've been doing, can you help us understand why we should question our thoughts in the first and describe for us the process that you've designed?
Well, the reason I question my thoughts is because I experienced so much suffering around my parenting. In fact, that's one reason that I'm sitting with you. I was such an unfair parent to my mind, and to their mind, such an unfair parent that I owe. I owe my children, I owe my grandchildren, and I owe the world that it affected. And so I'm very clear about my job, and that is to stay clear. And if I suffer, all I have to do is look at what I was thinking and believing in that situation and question it, and I'm free. It's like we get to start our lives with that child all over again. And children are very quick to forgive. It's us that that can be so slow sometimes. And so the way I question my mind, so answer your first part of that question is suffering. That's why I question my mind. Any separation with my child, we all just feel that. We feel like, oh my gosh, how can I get through to this child? Well, first I have to get through to myself. Okay, so suffering. And then in answer to the second part of that, the work is very simple. It's always free at thework.com and instructions how to do it and YouTube. But it's just 4 questions, and then we turn whatever thought we're working, we find opposites, we turn it around. So, for example, my child will never make up her bed. Okay? Or you give me one. You give me one that's common with your viewers.
One that's common first. So we've got actually a couple questions from our viewers. So I'll read one out for you. It's from Annie. And Annie's got 2 kids, 6 and 9. And Annie says, my kids don't listen to me. The only way I can get them to do what I say is to yell and scream. Can you help me?
I know that one so well. So
do I.
But where my mind goes with them is that even when we yell and scream, they don't always do it. So what do we have to lose by just talking? For example, on one of my granddaughters was on the phone with her mother this morning, and she gave her the simplest instruction. And my granddaughter said, okay. And then the mother repeated it again, and the granddaughter said, okay. And then the mother got louder. And the child said, Mom, I hear you. And then she says, and then she got louder. And all the time, this little girl, and that's me as a parent, that's my old self, it's like me, my stepdaughter was repeating and saying over and over what the child already understood. Now, it doesn't mean just because she understood it that she's going to do that task. But if we yell at them, we still don't know if they're going to do that task.
Yeah.
So it is just to listen to my children, and I think they're not listening to me. When I think they're not listening to me, am I listening to them? And my granddaughter so clearly said, okay, Mom. But it could be that my daughter-in-law projected, well, I better tell her again because she forgets, her mind gets occupied all of, but the truth is, this little girl did say, okay. And again, she said, okay, Mom. And again, she said, okay, Mom, you don't have to tell me again. Mom, I heard, and then the mom's getting louder. So I think that's such a good example. And that was just an hour or so ago. But when we're on the other side of it, we can see it so clearly. So now I don't have to think my granddaughter is rude. She's disrespectful to her parent, and her parent's only trying to help her. And even though on one hand we could say those things were true, because I can see now out of this questioned mind, no one's guilty. There are two people that love each other, doing their best to communicate one to the other.